Sagittarius. If you are a woman who sleeps alone without your husband, the universe is alerting you. Hello, dear Sagittarius. If you are hearing these words in the stillness of the night, when the world outside has already surrendered to silence and you are lying alone in your room, know that this is not an accident. Life has a way of speaking most clearly in the moments we feel most isolated. Perhaps your husband is away for work, perhaps you are separated or widowed, or perhaps you simply have not yet found someone to trust with your deepest heart. But the reason does not matter. What matters is the energy you are carrying right now, and what the universe is gently orchestrating within you. You see, Sagittarius, your journey has always been about fire, about freedom, truth, and the courage to walk your own path, even when it feels uncertain. Nights of solitude are not punishments. They are sacred initiations. Each quiet breath you take when no one else is near becomes a doorway back to yourself. The universe has chosen you in this season to pause, to shed old layers, to listen more deeply to your own soul without the noise of expectations or demands. As we walk together through this message, I invite you to open your heart, to take what resonates, and to let the rest fall away. And if these words find a place in your spirit, I welcome you to like, to share, and to subscribe so that we may continue walking this path of wisdom and healing together. Gate 1: The hidden gift of solitude. Sagittarius, the nights you spend sleeping alone are not signs of abandonment. They are invitations from the universe. Many people fear solitude, believing it to be a symbol of emptiness, a reminder that something is missing. But for you, solitude is not a void. It is a sacred vessel. When you find yourself lying in bed without a partner's embrace, when the laughter and voices of the day fade into silence, what you are actually entering is a temple where only you and your soul are present, a temple where your truest self can finally breathe without interruption. Your fire sign energy has always longed for movement, for horizons, for the thrill of expansion. Yet beneath that restless drive, you also carry a tender heart that yearns for authenticity. Too often you have given your warmth to those who could not honor it, shared your laughter with those who only half cherished it, or placed your trust in those who did not know how to protect it. Nights of solitude strip away the illusions. They bring you back to the raw essence of your being. Alone, you are not being punished, you are being recalibrated. Consider the woman who once tried to quiet her loneliness by staying in relationships that diminished her spirit. She believed companionship was better than silence. But over time, the silence she feared the most began to live inside her heart, even as another body lay next to her. That inner silence was not peace. It was suppression. It was the sound of her intuition being ignored, her needs being postponed, her fire being dimmed. Only when she found herself truly alone, no one to compromise for, no one to appease, did she begin to hear her soul speak again. Sagittarius, this is your lesson too. You are being called to rediscover the original clarity of your spirit. Think back to your younger years, when you stood under an open sky and felt an unexplainable connection to the stars, or when you laughed freely without worrying if someone thought you were too much. That was your essence, unrestrained, unguarded, honest. Solitude is the bridge that reconnects you to that part of yourself. Every night you sleep alone is another thread pulling you back toward your own wholeness. Psychologists speak often about the power of solitude. Research has shown that people who embrace time alone are more creative, more self-aware, and more resilient. Spiritual traditions around the world echo this truth. Shamans retreat into the wilderness, monks withdraw into silence, and mystics spend nights in prayer. Not because they are unwanted, but because solitude opens the doorway to revelation. In your own life, the universe is using this season to carve out a sacred retreat, a space where you are free from the distractions of compromise and performance. Your body is changing too, Sagittarius. You may feel more sensitive, more easily moved by small details. A song that stirs old memories, the scent of rain, the softness of your own breath. You may also notice that you have less tolerance for relationships or environments that drain you. This is not weakness. This is your spirit refusing to be numbed any longer. Every tear that falls, every quiet sigh that escapes in the dark, is not evidence of brokenness but proof of transformation. It is the shedding of layers that no longer belong to you. Imagine your soul as a bow long pulled back, holding the tension of countless expectations, disappointments, and silences. To release the arrow, you must first let go. Solitude is that release. It is the moment the string is loosened, the pressure dissolved, and the arrow of your true self finally takes flight. You are no longer magnetic because you are waiting for someone to complete you. You are magnetic because you are already whole. When you begin to radiate from that place of fullness, the people who are not aligned with your frequency will naturally fall away. They may not even know why they feel uneasy in your presence, only that your energy exposes their half-heartedness. And those who are truly meant for you will feel drawn, not to take from you but to walk alongside you. A woman once said, "I thought loneliness was my enemy until I discovered it was my teacher." That is the heart of Gate 1 for you, Sagittarius. Solitude is not the end of love. It is the preparation for a love so whole, so steady, that it can only arrive once you have stopped begging to be chosen. Each night alone you are not withering. You are rising. Each quiet moment is not emptiness but a rehearsal for the music of your own soul. So when you lie down tonight, resist the urge to ask, "Why am I still alone?" Instead, whisper, "What is awakening in me right now?" That shift in perspective transforms solitude from a wound into a sacred ceremony. You are not merely enduring these nights. You are being rewritten by them. And the story that is unfolding is one of a Sagittarius who no longer waits to be kept, but who finally keeps herself, with fire, with truth, with love that does not diminish. This, beloved Sagittarius, is the hidden gift of solitude. Gate to the awakening of the body. Sagittarius, solitude does not only reshape your thoughts and emotions, it transforms your body into a compass, a sacred instrument tuned to the truth of your soul. While the mind can deceive and the heart can be swayed by longing, the body never lies. Each night you spend alone is not simply an emotional exercise, but a physical recalibration. Your body begins to hold signals, whispering to you with sensations that words cannot capture. You may notice that fatigue creeps in even on days when you do little, or that certain foods no longer comfort you the way they once did. You may sense a heaviness in your chest when you are around people who drain your energy, or a lightness in your breath when you are in spaces that align with your spirit. These subtle responses are not random. They are your body awakening as a guide. In this season, your physical form becomes the truest barometer of what serves you and what does not. Consider this. A Sagittarian woman once described how, after leaving a relationship that had quietly eroded her spirit, she found herself sleeping more deeply than she had in years. For so long, her body had been restless, tossing through the night, never able to settle. She thought it was stress. She thought it was her own weakness. But in reality, her body had been signaling that she was living in misalignment. Once the noise and compromise were removed, her body finally exhaled. It wasn't her breaking down, it was her healing. Science supports what mystics have long known. The body stores memory. Trauma lives in muscle tension. Heartbreak lingers in the chest. And unspoken grief can even weaken the immune system. But when you step into solitude, free from the weight of others' demands, your body begins to unclench. It begins to release. Nights alone become like sacred rituals where the body sheds what the soul can no longer carry. Sagittarius, you are a fire sign, and fire always seeks motion, transformation, expansion. Yet fire also needs a container. Without one, it burns out too quickly or spreads destructively. Your body is that sacred container. It teaches you when your flame is burning too wildly, when you are overextending, when you are giving more than you can sustain. In solitude, you learn to listen to these signals without judgment. That heaviness in your stomach after a certain conversation, that inexplicable exhaustion after being around someone, that tension that lingers long after you've left a room. These are not coincidences. They are your soul speaking through your body. Think of the nights when your chest tightens as you lie awake, remembering old words or broken promises. That is not just memory, it is the body asking to be heard. It is telling you, this wound needs tending. On the other hand, think of the mornings you rise early, look out at the horizon, and feel a strange calm despite having no answers. That too is the body speaking. It is saying, here you are safe. Here you are aligned. The awakening of the body also redefines how you experience desire, love, and intimacy. No longer is touch something you chase simply to silence loneliness. Instead, your body begins to crave only what nurtures, only what expands your light. You may notice that you recoil from false warmth, even when it once felt comforting. You may find yourself drawn not to grand gestures but to subtle energies. a voice that steadies you, an embrace that calms rather than consumes, a presence that allows you to be fully yourself without shrinking. This is because your frequency has risen. You no longer resonate with what diminishes you. There is a psychological truth here as well. When people begin to heal, they often experience what is called somatic release. The body letting go of tension, shaking, or even crying without clear reason. This is not regression. It is progress. Your nights of solitude, Sagittarius, are the perfect environment for such release. In the stillness with no one else to perform for, your body feels safe enough to unravel, to expel, to breathe. Imagine it this way. Every night alone is like placing your body under a starry sky. Slowly, the light seeps into your skin, reminding your cells that they were born to glow, not to carry endless shadows. Your body is not betraying you. It is partnering with you, recalibrating, reshaping, rebuilding. And as your body awakens, so does your intuition. You start to notice signals you once ignored. You sense who is genuine and who is not within moments. You discern whether an opportunity feels expansive or restrictive, even before you have all the details. You stop needing endless explanations or justifications from others because your body already knows. Sagittarius, this is your gift. Once you learn to trust the wisdom of your body, you are no longer easily manipulated. Sweet words cannot sway you if they make your chest tighten. Old temptations cannot seduce you if your stomach knots in their presence. And fear of loneliness cannot chain you to the wrong person, once you realize how deeply your body softens in the presence of true alignment. The awakening of your body is the rebirth of your compass. It no longer points outward to the approval of others but inward, toward the steady flame of your soul. Each night you sleep alone, you are not merely surviving solitude. You are being trained by it. You are being equipped with a guidance system so clear, so unwavering, that when the next chapter opens, you will no longer choose from fear or longing. You will choose from peace. And that, beloved Sagittarius, is when you begin to step into a love and a life that feels like home. Not because someone else built it for you, but because your body led you back to it. Gate 3: The silent rebuilding of the soul. Sagittarius, solitude is often misunderstood as emptiness, but for you, it is the quiet forge where your soul rebuilds itself piece by piece. Nights alone may feel heavy at first, like a vast desert stretching endlessly, but within that silence something extraordinary is happening. What looks like stillness is actually construction, a sacred architecture forming within you. Every sigh, every tear, every moment of rest is a brick laid in the foundation of your new self. There is an ancient truth. The soul is not rebuilt in noise but in stillness. When life is loud with responsibilities, expectations, or relationships that demand more than they give, you have no room to hear yourself. But when the house is quiet, when the bed is yours alone, when no one is tugging at your spirit for attention, your soul finally has space to breathe. It begins to whisper. Do you remember who you are? Do you remember the girl who once looked at the sky and dreamed without limits? Do you remember the fire you carried before the world asked you to dim it down? Sagittarius, you are a child of fire and expansion. You were born with a spirit that longs for truth, freedom, and horizons that stretch beyond what others can see. Yet over time, life teaches you to contain yourself, to soften your edges, to sacrifice your wildness for belonging. You learn to sleep in relationships where your laughter no longer feels welcome, to endure conversations where your spirit feels unseen, to bend and bend until one day you no longer recognize your reflection. That is why the season of solitude arrives, not to punish you but to call you home. Like a phoenix hidden in the ashes, you are rebuilding quietly in places no one else can see. Perhaps you've noticed it already. How you are more sensitive now, how the smallest song can bring tears to your eyes, how a memory you thought was gone suddenly returns, not to hurt you but to free you. This is not weakness. It is your soul gathering fragments of your true self, dusting them off, polishing them, and weaving them into a stronger whole. One Sagittarian woman once shared how, after her marriage ended, she feared her nights alone would break her. Yet as the weeks passed, she began to paint again, something she hadn't touched since she was a teenager. She realized that the silence was not an empty void, but a canvas waiting for her colors. In solitude, her soul remembered passions she had abandoned, dreams she had shelved, truths she had silenced. What she once thought was lost became the birthplace of her rebirth. Psychologists often call this post-traumatic growth. The way human beings not only recover from deep pain but often emerge more resilient, more compassionate, more authentically themselves. In astrology, Sagittarius embodies this process. You are ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion and higher wisdom, which means even your pain is designed to grow you. Every lonely night is not just about survival. It is about expansion, about your soul stretching into a new dimension of freedom and truth. During this silent rebuilding, your energy shifts in profound ways. You stop attracting people who only want fragments of you, because your soul refuses to fragment anymore. You stop compromising your boundaries, because your soul has rebuilt walls strong enough to honor your sacred fire. You no longer cling to anyone just to avoid silence, because you've learned that silence is not your enemy, but your sanctuary. Sagittarius, you are in the middle of a sacred retreat, though no one else may see it. On the outside, you may look the same, going to work, handling responsibilities, smiling when needed. But within, a cathedral is being built. Your nights alone are the chisels shaping its walls, your tears the water cleansing its floors, your laughter returning slowly like light through stained glass. This sanctuary will not crumble the next time someone leaves. It will not collapse under judgment or rejection. It is yours, indestructible, because it was built in silence and truth. And when you emerge from this season, you will not simply be okay. You will radiate differently. People will notice without knowing why. They will feel the calm in your presence, the steadiness in your gaze, the authenticity in your words. They will sense that you no longer need their validation because you have already validated yourself. You no longer chase belonging, because you are already at home within your own soul. This rebuilding is slow, patient, and invisible, but it is also permanent. Once your soul has rebuilt itself in solitude, you will never again abandon it for half-hearted love, for shallow connections, for empty promises. You will carry within you a compass so strong that no storm can shake it, no absence can unmoor it, no loneliness can threaten it. Beloved Sagittarius, what you are moving through is not a void. It is a creation. Each night you think you are alone, your soul is busy weaving a new life. And when the construction is complete, when the phoenix rises fully from the ashes, you will look back at these nights with gratitude. You will realize that the silence was not abandonment but preparation, that the loneliness was not emptiness but foundation, and that your soul was not broken but reborn. That is the miracle of your season, Sagittarius. Solitude does not leave you less, it leaves you more. And soon you will see just how much more you have become. Gate 4. The universe tests and rewards the Sagittarian heart. Sagittarius, when the rebuilding of your soul is nearly complete, the universe does something both tender and mysterious. It tests you. Not to punish you but to confirm that you have truly grown, that the light you have fought to protect in solitude is now strong enough to guide your choices. These tests do not come with flashing signs or loud warnings. They arrive quietly, disguised as opportunities, relationships, or invitations that look beautiful on the surface but are not aligned with the truth of who you have become. You may notice someone reappearing from your past, offering words that once would have melted your heart, or a job promising stability, but requiring you to shrink your creativity and passion, or even a friendship that pulls at your empathy, asking you to carry more than your share. Each one arrives not as a curse, but as a mirror, reflecting the lessons you have learned in your season of solitude. The question is simple but profound. Will you return to what almost fits, or will you wait for what fully aligns? Sagittarius, you are the archer of the zodiac, born with an arrow that points toward truth and expansion. But sometimes, in the hunger for belonging, you have aimed too low, settling for relationships that dulled your fire, or jobs that caged your freedom. These tests are the universe's way of saying, this time do not lower your aim. You have walked through silence, you have rebuilt your soul. Now let your choices honor the light within you. This is not easy. The temptation to say yes to almost enough is strongest when you are tired, when the nights feel long, when you wonder if the blessings will ever arrive. You may find yourself thinking, maybe this is all there is. Maybe I should settle. But remember, you did not endure the wilderness of loneliness only to return to the same desert. You did not shed tears of rebirth only to wear the same old chains again. Think of a Sagittarian woman who spent years in a marriage where she felt unseen. When she finally left, she spent months rebuilding herself in solitude. Then one evening, a new suitor appeared, charming, attentive, but with the same subtle patterns of disregard she had once tolerated. In the past, she would have accepted, fearing to be alone. But this time she paused. She listened not to her mind, but to her body, noticing the unease in her chest. And she chose differently. That choice did not bring instant romance, but it did bring something greater. A profound sense of self-respect and a new alignment that eventually drew in a partner who truly honored her. This is the wisdom of your season, Sagittarius. Your body has become your compass. It tells you what the mind tries to excuse, what the heart is tempted to overlook. A heavy chest means not for you. A calm breath means this aligns. The universe knows your loyalty to others has often led you astray. So now it asks you to be loyal to yourself first. And when you pass these tests, when you say no to what is almost enough, the universe begins to pour blessings into your life. Not as fireworks or dramatic rescues, but as quiet shifts that feel undeniably right. You wake up lighter, smiling not because of someone else, but because your soul is finally at peace. You notice how opportunities flow with ease rather than strain. You find yourself surrounded by people who don't just admire your fire, but know how to honor it without dimming it. These blessings are the true reward of your solitude. The right love does not ask you to bend. It expands with you. The right work does not drain you. It ignites you. The right friendships do not burden you. They walk beside you. And each one enters not because you chased, begged, or compromised, but because you finally became magnetic by being fully yourself. Sagittarius, your season of testing is sacred because it seals your transformation. It turns your pain into power, your silence into sanctuary, your loneliness into wisdom. You will emerge not as the same person who once feared being forgotten, but as someone who now knows, you were never forgotten. You were being prepared. And when the rewards arrive, you will not cling desperately, fearing they might leave. Instead, you will welcome them with calm, knowing that what is aligned will stay, and what is not cannot hold on to your light. You will love not with hunger but with fullness. You will walk not with fear but with faith. You will finally live as the archer you were born to be. Bow steady, arrow sharp, eyes fixed not on survival but on destiny. Beloved Sagittarius, this is the moment your soul has been waiting for. The final test is not about them, it is about you. Will you choose with fear? Or will you choose with freedom? If you choose freedom, the universe will not just reward you, it will celebrate you. And that celebration will not be loud, but it will be true. It will feel like home. Conclusion: the light of the Sagittarian soul. Sagittarius, as we come to the close of this journey together, take a deep breath and allow yourself to feel just how far you've come. From the nights when you lay awake questioning your worth, to the mornings when you rose again with a heart still willing to love, you have walked through silence, through tests, through the unraveling of old illusions, and you have arrived here, standing in the fullness of your own fire. This path was never about punishment. It was about remembering. Remembering that your light has always been enough. That your laughter, your vision, your insatiable hunger for truth are not flaws but gifts, waiting to be honored. You are no longer a soul begging for recognition. You are a soul radiating so brightly that only those who truly resonate can stay in your orbit. The relationships that once drained you are falling away, not because you failed, but because your frequency has risen beyond them. The solitude that once felt heavy has transformed into a sanctuary, a sacred space where you learn to pour love back into your own cup. Now, as the universe opens doors before you, know this: you are not chasing blessings. Blessings are chasing you. The right people, the right opportunities, the right love, they are drawn to your fire not because you need them but because you are already whole. So dear Sagittarius, keep walking with faith. Trust your body as your compass. Trust your spirit as your guide. And when the moments of doubt whisper, return to this truth. You are not waiting for the light. You are the light. If these words have touched your soul, I invite you to gently like, share, and subscribe. So together, we can keep weaving these paths of healing and wisdom beneath the stars.